Just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. Today's topic is going to be: is there a statute of limitations on when or if people should let something go, including forgiveness, forgive and forget for betrayal, or is it something that's acceptable to never be able to let go? This is episode 117. Hey guys, welcome back. So, and actually this is going to be kind of a little surprise for you guys. I actually already have the next Real Talk Tuesdays topic in mind and stuff. So, but that is a question that kind of goes through my mind a lot. Like, where people say, you need to let that go, or it's been a while. Like you really need to drop it, whatever. Okay, so that the reason why I asked that question is, let's say that, let's say it's something like someone took your lunch at work, and you're mad at them, of course, because hey, that was my lunch. What the hell, man, And so you're mad or whatever, and let's say you brought something that you really were excited about, and one of your coworkers basically like, oh my god, it's so good. They just took it, they ate it. Yeah, you're gonna be pissed. It's understandable. Being stolen from or whatever. Totally understandable to be upset. And, especially if it's something where you put a lot of time and effort into preparing that, that meal for yourself. You look forward to maybe your meal prepping, maybe you're trying to eat healthy and stuff. That's part of your process, which I've kind of been slacking on myself lately. Haven't really been meal prepping. Basically just been, grabbing a quick drive, or not really a drive-through, but grabbing, a quick meal at like either McDonald's or Hardee's, one of the Love's truck stops. When I'm working my late nights and stuff, I go and get my late night load, and then on my way to Knox, Kodak, or whatever, I stop, depending on where I'm picking up out of. If it's Nashville, then I'm stopping at McDonald's, probably, in a Love's truck stop, and grabbing, usually the double quarter pounder with cheese meal, large fry, large drink. If it's out of Lebanon, then I'm stopping at Hardee's, and that Love's, it's right next to them. And, getting the combo with the Frisco, making it a double, large fry, large drink, but mainly just, because it usually costs me about, to get the whatever, probably like 40 or 50 bucks, you know, to get the stuffed chicken breast, quinoa, veggies, you know, and then you know, Monday night that I gotta usually go ahead and meal prep, you know, actually get everything cooked up and put together and get all in the fridge and get all ready to go. But plus that, you know, me grabbing a meal when I'm out here saves me a little bit of time too, because I'm stopping anyway for a cappuccino, so I just get food while I'm there. And then, you know, because it's hit or miss whether we'll eat at home, you know. So like sometimes I'll just you know, just plan to get something out here, and then I'll, you know, obviously make up some eggs or something, or grab a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit from McDonald's or something when I'm on my way home, you know, before getting home and going to bed. But you know, it's like, let's say you put a lot of time and effort into, you know, your meal plans and stuff, and then somebody steals your food. Yeah, you're gonna be upset, you know. Maybe not. It may not be quite as, you know, severe as like, you know, somebody like, you know, like broke into your house or something, and you know, if they broke into your house and stole stuff and then they were caught, yeah, you probably wouldn't forgive them, you know, because you'd be like, man, the guy that's in jail, man, you know, yeah, he's serving his sentence, but still, you know, he, like, I lost such and such because he broke in and trashed the place, whatever, okay, you know. But what if something like even those little or there's those things right there, I wouldn't say they're little things, I wouldn't even say they're, you know, like, you know, light things. Those things that might have happened to, you know, if something was happened to somebody, those could even be things that somebody could be like, you know what, I just can't get past it, like I just can't let it go. You know, it's funny though, is that usually the people, let's say it's a relative or a family member that did something like that. The relative or family member eventually, like, dude, it's been years, like, you gotta let it go, you gotta, like, you just, like, I can't believe you're still mad at me after all these years. That's where I come back to the question, is there, I don't even know if statute of limitations is the right word. Is there more like a time frame, like a that you should forgive or should let go of something that happened to you, and basically forgive that person within a certain time frame, like, oh, it's been this long, you guys gotta get over it? Or is that not a thing, you know? Because the reason and the reason why I ask is basically goes back to what we talked about last week a little bit, where, you know, I had that situation happen, you know, with my other half, where technically when I found out about it, it was, you know, years later. You know, it was literally right after we moved out to Tennessee, but when I found out about it, it was probably at least almost 5 years down the line. And it's been a couple years since then, but of course they're still friends. So it's like, you know, because I'm me being a pushover, you know, dumb mother effort probably, you know. I can't explain why you know, I made the decisions I did. You know, when I have friends that say, I can't believe you let them still talk. Well, they're not in the same state, of course, you know. So it's like they can't physically meet up, but, you know. But it's been years, and yet, you know, because I think for me, probably part of the thing is because they're still in contact, you know. It's like, I always find myself thinking to myself, like, all right, because I know at one point, I think, when it had been like, maybe like a year or two after it happened, of course, like, we had a little fight, of course, I think I was told at that point, like, you know, like, like, we're working through it, like, you need to let it go, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, really? Do I have to let it go? Like, it's expected that I let it go? Because this is a big betrayal, you know? And, like, you know, I'm curious about your guys' y'all's opinion, you know, which again, feel free to drop me an email, sir, or logicshowpodcast@gmail.com. You know, let me know your thoughts, you know. But if something is, I'm trying to think of the right word, severe enough, like if it's big enough betrayal, big enough, you know, stab through the heart, whatever, is there, like, is it something that, yeah, after a certain amount of time you should just let it go or you should move on? I don't know if that's because, of course, it drives me nuts because I look at I look at everything that happened back from beginning with, because I mean, all like they're technically, you know, I look at it like they kind of had an emotional affair started back before we even moved down, and you know, as they started talking, they reconnected. They've been friends longer than we've been married, but they reconnected back when me and my wife were in Philly, and we weren't exactly in the best place. Like, you know, she wasn't happy with the fact that I'd go away for five or 6 days, and I'd be home for 2 days. And I guess she wasn't happy, so when he reached out to her, and he wasn't happy in his marriage, from what I understand, probably he still isn't, but unwilling to leave his wife. Basically, just, you know, somebody that just wanted to probably still. I don't think somebody like that changes. I think somebody who's had multiple affairs just wants basically somebody like that. Basically, they're gonna always, you know what they say, once a cheater, always a cheater. And so there's part of me that kind of suspects that if she were to basically offer to, to step out and be sexually active with him again outside the marriage, that he would basically take her up on it. But there's one thing that really, when I came across the evidence, that emails back and forth after it had happened. Basically, he was telling her that she was trying to be like, we need to talk about this because we're literally like friends with benefits, friends that have sex outside the marriage, blah blah blah, whatever. And he was basically like, you need to work things out with Chris. Like, I'm not gonna leave Kat. Like, you need to. Yeah, Chris is an idiot. I'm like, really? Okay. But yeah, Chris is an idiot. But I think he stays on the road because he's afraid of you. And of course, I'm like, after I found everything out, I was like, I never stayed on the road because I was afraid of you. I stayed on the road because it was the best way that I knew of to basically financially provide in a way that give her the life she wanted, to actually, better than making like 10 or 12 or 15 bucks an hour and trying to pay $2,000 a month for rent, which would have happened. And so I was doing what I felt needed to be done in the best way that I could think of to actually make enough to provide for us, to give her the life that I felt she wanted, because I thought, and I even told her this too, that basically I did what I did because it was what I could do to make the most money possible, and I felt like, and I was under the impression that that's what mattered to her the most, was basically having more money and, be financially a little bit better off than if I were to work locally and we weren't going to be able to afford to pay rent and, basically ask for help from our in-laws or my parents or whatever. And it's like, neither of us wanted that, because we did have to ask for help on numerous occasions, when over the first, couple years, 3 to 5 years that we were, before I learned what they did, we'd had to ask for help from my parents, we had to ask for help from her parents, because we either couldn't pay rent or we got rent paid, but then our electric got shut off, couldn't afford that, because I tried to come off the road and take I don't know why I didn't try to come off the road and take a local trucking job like I'm doing now, but I came off the road and worked like Publix, making like 12 bucks an hour, and got like 30 hours a week, so I went from like making $1,200 a week over the road to $300 to $400 a week. So you figured $2,000 rent, even if I were to make $400 a week, let's say I was getting 40 hours a week, $400 a week, that's $1,600 a month. That still makes us fall short on rent. That wasn't even counting electric, cell phones, groceries, gas. I think I already said groceries, but pay, like any other stuff, like other bills that we might have had to cover, whatever. That's just basics. It's not even counting like if we had Netflix or whatever, which is never that expensive, but still, when you don't. So I try to do the best that I could, and of course, like ever since, and looking back now, I look back and I'm an idiot. Like I'm, there's out here I go through a lot in my head about like where you don't like if you've ever gone through some stuff and then you find yourself like your mind won't shut off, and you know when people say like all of a sudden they're pissed off, like what are you upset about? Oh, sorry, I was just having a fight with you in my head or something. It's pretty much me, because of course like fellow truckers out there, you know how it is. Like we're out here by ourselves going down the road, so like it's very easy to basically be alone with your thoughts, and so like you find yourself thinking about everything. Could you have done such and such better? Could you have done this better? Could you have done that better? One of the funny things is that because I try to be I'm trying to move past the hatred, and I even tried to let that part go, and I thought I was able to forgive, but recently a couple weeks ago I kind of walked into kind of overheard one side of a conversation. She was cooking in the kitchen when I came down, waking up at like 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and I came down over here. The part that I heard sounded inappropriate, but she was trying to explain it off like, no, it wasn't how it came across. It wasn't how you heard it. It was like, like he's about to pump gas, like, so basically I heard, pumping, oh, so I should bend over, because they're on video call or whatever, and I was out just outside the kitchen that just come down the stairs, and I heard that and went, motherfucker. So I stepped in the kitchen, and they, of course, got off the call, and I was like, so that sounded like a little bit of a inappropriate conversation. What the hell's going on? She was, no, it wasn't, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, love, like, what was the pumping? Oh, he's just about to pump gas. Okay, what about the bend over? Oh, well, that's such and such. Just explaining it a certain, like, well, that's totally not sexual. It wasn't what you're thinking. And I'm like, didn't sound like what you're explaining. So it's like, but for those of you wondering, well, why'd you allow them to be friends? Why are they still friends? Whatever. Well, see, that was a really hard thing for me to decide, because when I found out what they did, it was like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, I can cut him out of my life. Like, I'll just stop. It'll hurt, but I just won't see him. Won't talk to him anymore. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. Like, you guys have been friends longer than we've been married, so I don't want to be in a marriage where for my other half, I can totally foresee her being like bitter about it, like resentful, because like, well, like I don't get to talk to Rob ever again, because and of course I wouldn't necessarily feel bad about it, because it wasn't my decisions. Like, if they never done what they did, they kept things as friends, even though they were technically having a emotional affair since they reconnected, because they were both unhappy. And when I was over the road after we moved down to be closer to him and his wife, they would of course have their daily hangouts. They'd go for walks in the woods or whatever, and it's like, as far as I know, just the one occasion that happened. But part of me wonders if there's more, that they're basically just like, no, that was the only thing that happened. I cut it off as soon as right afterwards. Like, okay, So I've chosen to take her at her word, but they're still way too close. And so it's like, but back to the topic at hand, and try not to make this. Well, I guess it feels like I've been going longer on this episode, but I guess we've only been at it 17 minutes. So, but that brings me back to is there any situation, whether it's something like this or something else that might happen, some other kind of betrayal, where you need to be able to let it go within a certain amount of time? It's been a couple of years, you really need to drop it. Okay, but is that really the case, or is it something that, like, let's say somebody they tries to they try to deal with it, they try to push forward, they try to be okay, but then even after a long period of time passes, because again, like if the let's say the person that's or one of the parties that were involved, they're still obviously in your life, they haven't gone anywhere. So it's almost like, oh, well, it's been years, we moved past it, it's all good, now we're good. Okay, but yeah. So is that something that, like, say 5 or 10 years after the fact, you could still not be still not be doing okay about it, Like, is it okay if it's like, say, 5 to 10 years later, after something very serious happened, whether it's an affair or whether it's somebody robbed you, or let's say somebody somebody did something to you, you're playing around with something and somebody accidentally, like, they cut you with a knife or something, not planted, not intentional, but, let's say it happens, and you survive, but then, you still have that trauma, is that something that you have to be able to forgive? Or is it okay to not be able to forgive? To not be able to forget? To not be able to move on? Like, sometimes there's things that are just so traumatic, you just can't let it go. And so if you've gone through things, where it was so traumatic that you, like, I guess I should bring that to a question. Have you ever had anything happen in your life that's been so traumatic, so hurtful that the pain? Have you ever experienced pain, emotional pain, so intense that you could probably say that when you felt it, you just, like, it would have been, trying to think of the best way to word this, but, because I'm going to put it out there, I'm not suicidal, but the reason why I asked this question is because when I felt that, like, there's been certain pains over the past 5 to 10 years. Some of them have been caused by, like, losing like, pets that were really close that we had for a long time, that were, like, very, very much loved, and when they passed, it was like your heart got ripped out, and it was very hard to deal with for a little bit, But then after a while, of course, you start to feel, like, yeah, you can still look at photos, and you think back, and you kind of tear up a little bit because you're like, oh my God, it's like our cat Ginger, It's like she went from one day she was fine, one day she seemed fine rather, to, like, over the weekend she had, we noticed that she was kind of stumbling around a little bit, like, just a little bit, like, look at she's tripping over her own feet, so it's like, okay, Ginger's not, Ginger's just out of it today or whatever. And then Monday came along and she was, like, not wanting to get up off the ground. I went to work and I came home, knowing that, like, because I was at work basically, like, heart-wrenched because I was like, shit, our cat's dying, like, we can't afford to take her to the vet, like, this sucks, like, I'm dead. And came home that night, literally, like, I was gonna have to get up the next day and go to work again, but I came home and wrapped her up in a blanket because she was still with us at that point. She'd eaten a little bit. She technically, had pooped. So we're like, okay, well, her body is still working. Like, she still had bodily function, whatever. But so I wrapped her up in a blanket, and I was sitting there on the recliner holding her or whatever, and basically just telling her I love her and crying my eyes out, and telling her, like, basically trying to be the strong one, like, we'll cry my eyes out and say I love you, Ginger. And I understand, like, we understand if you have to go, we don't want you to go, but we understand, just know that you're loved, and we'll see you eventually when we come over to that side as well. We'll come and meet you at the Rainbow Bridge, and we'll all be together again, but some of the most heart-wrenching moments of my life dealing with that, because then, of course, like, she hadn't passed yet, I was still sitting there holding her and stuff. And then being like, shit, I have to get to bed. Like, I can't stay up all night sitting with her, but I don't want to put her down because I knew that I probably wasn't. That was probably gonna be the last moments I was gonna have with her before she passed. So, and hell, just talking about it right now, it's like I get choked up because I can still look back and feel exactly how I felt. Like, I could feel the pain and the heartache and just wanting to not be here because it hurt so bad. But then, very regretfully, very, very hesitantly, having to go ahead and lay her back down on the pillow. We have this plush turtle that the cats love, and they literally, like, they hated it for a while, but then all of a sudden, like, it's one of their places they like to lay on. So it was her thing. Like, she would lay on the turtle, And so, like, I wrapped her up with a blanket, I laid her back in the turtle, and gave her a kiss on the head, basically told her I loved her, and told her, like, I really hope you're here in the morning, but I understand if you have to go, and, you know, just really, you know, basically, like, I'm sorry, Ginger, or, like, I'm so sorry that you're in pain, or whatever. And then the next morning, woke up to our oldest, or our youngest, rather, running in the room and basically like, Dad, I think something's wrong with Ginger. I was like, fuck. Went down there, and of course she kind of rolled off the turtle a little bit, and at that point she kind of already stiffened up. I guess it had been a couple hours, so I think she passed like probably within 2 or 3 hours after I laid her down, and then she left. So I look back at that. That was at least a couple years back, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, about 3 or 4 years back, 2020-ish, 2021, something like that. And I look back at that, I still tear up. I still get, you know, just wiping a tear from my eye right now thinking about it. You know, because Ginger was with us. She was only like, I think she was only like 10 or 11 when she passed. You know, you think cats, you know, you think, oh, they'll live like 15 years, and then we lost Ginger when she was like 10, 11. And then the next one, within like literally a year after she passed, we lost Coco, who was the cat that was just younger than her. So she was probably about 10. And that was pretty rough too, because came home again, and he basically, you know, she went from like, I left for work thinking that Coco was fine, and then you know, I got a call before I came home basically telling me that Coco wasn't you know, moving off the couch, and they were holding her, and they were like, we can't take, you know, basically the vet was saying that it was probably, you know, because she had yellow gums, so they were thinking that she had like liver failure or whatever, which we knew that there was something going on with her, because she'd been losing weight for a little bit, and she was a big cat, like she was our heaviest cat for a while, and then all of a sudden she was just dropping weight like nothing, and I was planning ahead to try to, you know, I had one of those accounts for like pet, like not pet insurance, but it was like a pet emergency fund kind of. And it's this company that, this is an unpaid advertisement, but if you look them up, if you have animals and stuff and you can't afford to take animals to the vet, this company called PAWP. I have no idea. I think the individual letters stand for something, but it's like literally PAWP. Ends up being like, you know, per animal, I think it's like $20 or $22 a month, $23 a month. And you have like after the first 2 weeks, because you have a 2-week grace period that you gotta wait. So basically, we learned when Ginger was crashing hard, pretty much, that you had to have that new account. Like, I paid the $23, and they're like, yeah, but like, you know, you can't do anything. You have to, like, there's a 2-week grace period. So I was like, well, crap. So basically, we couldn't use that emergency fund to take her to the vet, get her checked out, see if there's anything we could do to help her. We probably couldn't have, but it sucks looking back now, going, yeah, I just wish that we'd had the funds to be able to take her to the vet and have them tell us, yeah, there's nothing we can do. Because at least then we'd be like, well, we took her to the vet and tried. But same thing with Coco, you know. So like after Ginger passed, I had meant to have that, to set that account up again for Coco. But then she started losing weight, so I went ahead and set the account up, thinking, well, at least, like, hopefully, you know, because I think we were within like 4 days of our 2-week grace period. So another couple of days, and we could have gotten her to the vet to have her checked out, but she basically, you know, crashed and left us before we could get her in there and stuff. So, but then I think since then, I think we got when we just had Binks, who basically we adopted her after Ginger passed, and then we have our oldest cat, Truffles. I should say our now oldest cat, Truffles. So we took them into the vet, got them all checked out. You know, we were worried about Truffles because of the fact that she's the oldest cat now. And we're like, all right, we want to make sure, see if we can stay on top of things, see if we can make sure that all the cats are healthy. So we took Truffles and Binks to a vet and basically had them checked out, had blood work done on both. I don't know if we had blood work on Binks because she was basically, I think, a year or two old at that point. We just wanted her checked out though, you know, get the rabies shots, all that stuff. And then we had blood work done on Truffles to make sure that she was, that, you know, see if we make sure that there's nothing they can catch at the beginning and, you know, try to treat now or whatever. So thankfully both cats clean bill of health. That's been a little while since we've done that, so we it's on the list for us to get. Now we have, you know, since we lost Coco, we have Sage, like a torty cat instead of a. I'm trying to think what the term is. It's basically the gray and black, gray cat with black little, you know, outlines or whatever. But I guess the torty has a little bit of orange into their coloring as well. So we got Sage now, so we got to get all three of our current fur kids basically in there to, you know, get them all checked out, do blood work again on, you know, at least on probably blood work on all of them, but or at least blood work on these middle and the oldest cat, you know, to make sure everybody's healthy, you know. But again, that's like goes back to, you know, is there is there statute limitations on like how quickly you should be get over something, you know? Because hell, you know, just with losing those cats or whatever, you know, like it's been at least a couple of years, like probably like 3 years or longer since we lost Ginger. It's been at least probably, I don't know, maybe at least 2 years since we lost Coco. And yeah, you know, I can look back, I see those pictures because I got that one of those apps called the Time Hop, and it basically your pictures and your Facebook posts or whatever, like they'll pop up like a year ago on this date, blah blah blah. So it'll pop up, you know, if you did it, you posted something a year ago on this date, or if you took a photo, anything in your photos or whatever, it'll show you, you know, like a year ago on this date you did this or you had this go on. And so I have pictures that pop up with cats or whatever, like, you know, me taking a selfie with Coco or me having Ginger on me or something. You know, hell, I look back, like, I don't have any, like, hatred or necessarily, like, bitterness towards my ex-wife, but I can even look back, my current wife and I have been together since 2007. I was with my ex from, like, 2000, probably about 2001 to 2006. And then we got divorced, you know, when I went in the Air Force or whatever. So I can look back with her, like, our marriage wasn't the greatest. Like, it was pretty rocky, the whole 5 years or whatever. And it was pretty bad. But I look back with her, and I'm not even, like, even though that marriage kind of sucked, you know, because it had its highlights, certain things that, like, she was, like, really, really good in certain areas. It was like, oh crap. But there's certain things I haven't been able to forget with her. They were like, holy crap, I'm fucking amazing. But other things that's like, you know, that she did that technically hurt like hell. But, you know, it's funny, those things I look back and go, you know what, I don't even, you know, but I'm not a part of her life anymore, so it's really easy for me to look back and go, you know what, I'm not even angry about that, or that doesn't bother me, you know, I've been able to move on from that. But the current situation, you know, stuff that happened involved somebody that is technically still friends with my wife, and, you know, they tell them, walking in on, like, being able to overhear things that sound inappropriate, that then she explains away, like, no, it's not that, it's, you know, I'm just giving them crap about this, or giving them a hard time. Or today, for instance, I'm pretty sure when I walked in there, because I know they're close, you know, so like, maybe it's okay for friends to be like, they call each other sweetie or honey or whatever, and then say, hey, I love you, you know, like, I love you, bro. Like, well, like, you know, it's one thing if it's like guys, like, hey, I love you, bro. You know, fist bump, you know, give each other a hug. You know? Like, we have a friend named Austin, you know, or a friend named Willow rather, that you know, we hang out with him from time to time. He comes over, hangs out with us, and you know, he's probably, I would say, the only friend, because usually I'm not like, I'm not one to force hugs, you know, like I am a hugger. I don't go around telling people I'm a hugger though, like, but if other people are huggers, they're like, hey, give me a hug, all right, cool. Do the bro hug where you do the hand, the little, kind of like a handshake first, then you pull each other in for a hug, that kind of hug. So he's the only one that, like, when he comes over and hangs out with us before he leaves to go back, literally I get up, do the handshake, hug, whatever, like, you know, good to see you, bro, thanks for coming over and hanging out. He goes, thanks for having me, and you're welcome anytime. You know, like, our friend circle's pretty small, so we'll take it. If you want to come hang out, you know, we'll figure out something for dinner or whatever, and we'll watch a movie or whatever, and just chill out. You know, somebody that I actually would trust, that I do trust, and, like, I probably will always think of him as a really close friend, you know? Just like my bro Ricco, you know, he's the same thing. You'd probably give him the bro hug, and hell, I'd probably, even if it got to a point where you know, the situation, you know, that I've been dealing with for quite a few years, with my other half and her friend, if it ends up being where I end up not being able to actually get past it, you know, I could totally see me and Ricco being roomies, you know, like him and I living in the same place, you know, renting a 2-bedroom, whatever, and, you know, I go do my FedEx stuff, and he does his stuff, and basically just, you know, live in the same space. And I know I'd eat really well, because that guy can cook, man. Like, he's not a chef, but so, like, he's like a tall, not, I wouldn't say thin black man, but he's a tall, healthy, you know, he's not, basically he can't gain weight. Like, he's one of the, like, that's basically what the way he explains it to me, like, he can eat a ton of stuff and not really pack on any pounds. Like, he literally just, you know, he'll build up muscle a little bit, but he won't. I love when you're trying to, like, you're wanting to get over to pass somebody, but of course you have another truck and then a pickup truck behind him passing you, so it's like you're just climbing these hills. But thankfully I just left Knoxville, and unfortunately I gotta go back to Lebanon, because apparently they have a loaded trailer that I gotta take back to Nashville. But at least that means I'm probably just dropping my rear trailer and my dolly, parking my front empty, and then setting my loaded trailer up in front of these two. It's a pretty easy setup. I wouldn't mind doing loads like that more often, where I don't have to do a full breakdown and full setup. But sometimes, you know, I don't, you know, it's FedEx, I don't question. But yeah, so, you know, Ricco is one of those where, like, he it's funny because he talks about himself like he's got the soul of a fat man, you know, because literally he'll cook some meals, and he does huge plates just for himself, to the point where he posts on Facebook, like, he'll have like 3, well, you know, what we call smothered burgers, you know, where you kind of like Salisbury steak, but you do a kind of like you take the hit ground beef, you know, add whatever you want to do to it, like, you know, onions, seasoning, Worcestershire sauce, or as my wife calls it, Worcestershire sauce. Form it into patties, pan fry those up, use the grease or whatever to then, you know, add some water, flour, and seasoning, and basically it turns into basically like a roux, which is kind of basically like a gravy. And then once you got that, you know, then you add the patties back to it. You cook it in that for probably, like, you know, half an hour or whatever. and basically you have what we call smothered burgers. But so he little cooking lesson, which again, you know, there's like I have some of the digital courses I have out there. I have one about cooking. If you want to learn little stuff like that, you know, I can help you out. Go to blindeshow.com/masterchef and check it out. It's like a $97 course or whatever. And like once you pay for it, you get access to the materials to the educational materials to download, and you know, pretty much start, you know, going through the training and learning how to, you know, especially if you don't know how to cook at all, hey, you know, can't hurt, can help you, you know. But he'll do like his plate will have like 3 or 4 smothered burger patties on it. I mean, we're talking big ass plate. Then he'll have like 3 or 4 biscuits, rice with the gravy, you know, on top of the rice, and some veg, probably like maybe some broccoli with cheese on top or whatever. And so he'll be like, and, you know, the funny thing is I laugh every time, but sometimes when he'll send me a picture of, you know, 'cause we chat most days, he'll send me a picture of what he's making. You know, it'll have, of course, full plate and all that stuff, and of course I'll be something he's said when he's posted those, and then of course when he sends me a photo of some of them, I'll be like, so it's a light snack, right, bro? He goes, hell yeah. I was like, of course I'm like, dude, I was like, bro, I'm coming over to eat with you. He goes, come on over, man, I'll make you a plate. Unfortunately, he lives in Charlotte, I'm in Nashville, so. But, you know, in the off chance that, you know, I end up not being able to deal with what I've been dealing with the past however many years since, you know, technically we're looking at like 10 years since technically what I would call the emotional affair happened or started. And then 2014, 2015 is when the actual one that kind of went further became a sexual affair, only to supposedly go back to being an emotional affair until I realized back in 2019 actually what had happened back then. You know, hadn't heard anything, had never been told anything about it, never, like, I almost cheated on her with a, and I've told many people that. I was like, you know, I had one occasion with what we call a lot lizard, you know, the truck stop that I told you guys about, you know, where, like, I think of the last episode where she basically is a really, really attractive chick that normally when I think lot lizards, most of them that I've come across, they're not, some of them been dudes, you know, but even the women that approach you, you're like, yeah, it's pretty easy to be like, no, I'm good, I'm But, you know, this one was actually really, really, I would, you know, I'm going to use the guy lingo. I'm going to say she's really, really hot. And I was like, holy crap. And like I said, my wife and I just fought that day, and it was very tempting to give in to her, you know, technically let her in the truck, but I ran away, but I was on it, I was up front with my wife about it and told her, I was like, look, like, this just happened. I almost gave in, so I was very tempted, but I didn't want to, because I love you, and, you know, I value what we have. She said, well, I appreciate that, whatever. I'm upset that you were tempted, but I was like, well, my guy, of course, like, you know, we were fighting about sex, so somebody else offered to do, you know, with no strings, just eat a pear, or to do whatever I wanted. Like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be tempted, you know, but I don't know any trucker out here that wouldn't be, you know, somebody, if you know, most of us out here, we're not gonna, you know, a lot of us, I mean, I can't say a lot of us, I don't know, because I only know a handful of truckers. But, you know, maybe there's a lot of truckers out here that, you know, they spend their entire time out on the road. Maybe there's a lot of truckers out here that would actually just let the women, you know, from the truck stops, let them in their truck so they can, you know, get themselves sucked off or something. I don't know, you know, get a little quickie going on, you know. But I know for me, the small circle of truckers that I know, most of us are like, yeah, we're not, you know. Most of it's out of fear. Like, we figure, well, we'll let them in the truck, let's stop them from, like, killing us or robbing us or, you know, giving us something like STD wise we take back home to the fam. Easy way to find out that you technically cheated on them if you get home and you guys do stuff, and then all of a sudden your wife gets an STD, and, you know. But so back to the topic at hand and stuff. It's like, you know, oh, but I guess what I was trying to, the point I was trying to make with about the lot lizard and stuff was the fact that when it almost happened, and if I had done it, I think I mean we probably wouldn't be together today. Because I probably would be like, look, like I think we need to get divorced because I don't believe in second chances when it comes to if you have an affair in a relationship or a marriage. Like I just don't like the fact that I'm still here after finding out what they actually did. It's hard. It is hard. Like, even all these years later, I mean, yeah, I understand when somebody or even, like, my wife or anybody else would be like, look, it's been the years, like, you need to let it go. Like, yeah, but they're still friends. Like, they still talk daily. They still video talk. I've still walked in on conversations that were a little bit too personal, even though she's like, no, we were just talking about such and such. Like, it's not, like, nothing. It's not what you think, whatever. And I'm like, okay. So... I don't know, I kind of think that maybe they think they're out of the woods, because his wife eventually found out about it as well. But, then she forgave him and they kind of moved on past it or whatever. But, you know, sadly there's been other women that he's technically done the same thing with. Because again, you know, when he did it with my wife, and then afterwards told her, I think you need to work things out with Chris, you know. And I'm like, you don't freaking... have a sexual affair with somebody else's wife and then tell that person, well, I understand you're not happy, but I'm not leaving my wife. You need to work things out with your husband. And it's like, you kind of already, like, fucked that over, kind of. So, you know, so yeah, you know, that just goes back to, like, is there anything, whether it's that situation or anything else that, you know, where, oh, you should let it go within a certain amount of time. It's been years, like, you should be able to let it go and move past it. Yeah, but what if you can't? You know? Like, I wouldn't, like, up until recently, I wouldn't have thought that there's, like, I would be one of those too, like, okay, it's been a long time, like, you should be able to let it go. You should be able to pass it, you should be able to just forgive and forget. But, you know, sometimes, and I, you know, this is one of the things, like, I'm a very religious person. So I have a cross that wear, probably kiss the cross there like a couple times a day, you know, it's like, you know, I try to pray, you know, throughout the day or whatever, but sometimes now I'm praying for the Lord to forgive me for me not being able to forgive them, you know, because I thought for a while, I thought maybe I had been able to forgive them because my other half, most of the time I'd say my better half, but I would honestly, I don't know if I can say better, because I don't know if either of us is better than the other one, so I'm saying my other half. I don't want to say I'm better than her, but I don't know if knowing what's gone down, especially between them, I don't know if I can say better on her side because of what they did to me, so it's kind of one of those, like, but, oh man, just had one of those moments where my mind technically blanked. I'm like, what was I going with that? So, but yeah, so it's one of those things that I don't know if it's something that can. I mean, I don't know if there's always going to be the case where, you know, depending if something happened to you that you can forgive and forget, because, you know, now I look back and go, you know what, I thought I forgave and forget, but I know where I'm going with it. Where, you know, I thought for a while that maybe I had been able to move past and forget. Not necessarily forget, like, I could never forget. My memory's too good, you know, where I look back and there's certain things that happened, and I can remember the pain I felt, like how much I literally just wanted to curl into a ball and it just disappeared. But, and then for a while I thought that, okay, we're good, things are, you know, even though I still don't like that they're still connected, still like how much she badly needs him in her life as a friend. You know, I understand they both care about each other as friends, but yeah, but you guys haven't been friends. Technically, have not actually been regular friends for a while. Like, they weren't friends back when they first started their emotional affair, and then when they went too far, even if she did in fact cut it off right after it happened, after that point you're not friends anymore. You're something more. You're just, oh, we're just friends. Yeah, I know we technically we had sex, we did this, whatever, outside our marriages, but then we cut it off and we've just kept it, normal sense. Okay, yeah, but that's not how it works. You can't just step out and do stuff and then go back to the way it was, and have everything be normal. It's like, I don't know if I were to have, I haven't had, as you guys can probably tell, I haven't had, and I'm trying to figure out how to, but I haven't had a conversation with my wife recently about how I've been feeling about this. And when I say that for a while I felt like I actually had thought that maybe I had forgiven and moved on. But then I had that situation a couple weeks back where I overheard the conversation I mentioned where I heard, pumping, huh? Oh, so I should bend over. Which, when I tell it to my Ricco, it's, oh, so she's talking about bending over and getting pumped by him? And I was like, that's how I took it. But she's like, no, he's pumping gas. Getting ready to pump gas. And then, something about, oh, this is just something about, oh, it has these things on his phone. And that's what the whole bend over thing was or whatever. That's why I was just giving him a hard time. It wasn't what you think. I'm like, okay. I'm not so easily pacified by the explanation because there was many, many, many years of, basically feeling like there was something more to them, but being told, oh, no, we've always just been only friends. And then I've, come across that stuff that proved that they hadn't been just friends, and there'd been more. And I know there were photos that were sent back before we even moved down. Even a photo that was kind of because, again, I wasn't there because I was technically going out for a week and then coming home. Photos basically showing that she was really not in the greatest mood. And it's like, this is after intimate time with my husband. Do I look all satisfied? And it's like, yeah, you guys were totally not just friends even then, but, oh, man, it is, so, on that note, guys, that's why I stand by the question. And of course, I gotta, every so often this truck ends up having random check engine light or whatever, and it comes on, it's like, he'll start assist unavailable, and I end up, and then you basically lose your acceleration or whatever, so I end up pulling over. It says missing communication from ABS ECU. And so then you gotta pull over. I set the brake. I shut off the truck. And then I let everything kind of reset. And then I restart the truck again, and we keep going, So, but anyway, y'all, pretty much that's that question for you guys. Is there not even, again, like I said, not even a statute of limitations? That's probably not even the right phrase, but would you say there's a limit? So many years you should be able to let it go. Should be able to get past it. Okay, but what if the situation, like in the case of my ex-wife, I can't really be mad at the way things went down, or some of the things she did, or things she, kind of accused each other of, because we haven't been a part of each other's life for almost probably 18 now. Yeah, 18 years. So, I can't look back and be mad at her for things. I mean, we had our good moments. I really cared for her. Was head over heels for her. And I left to join the Air Force, not planning for things to go the way they did, not planning for us to get divorced, but she had already made up her mind at that point. So all I can look back is, I look back and I can only wish that she's happy. She, even though I know she's been married again twice, I don't know if she's been married a third time since, or married technically a fourth time, because she had 2 more husbands after me. So I don't know if because I haven't checked. I'm not gonna lie. We all kind of sometimes go get online and try to check in on past people that we've known or whatever to see what they're up to and whatever. So I haven't done it for a while, but last time I checked, she was married to 2 other guys. But, you know, I hope she's doing well and I hope she's happy. But with my wife, she still technically is involved in a friendship with the guy that, you know, that they reconnected back in 2013, 2014, and they had their affair in 2015, and have been still connected ever since. And then I found out what happened in like 2019, 2020, and we've been trying to, you know, we've been for the most part okay since. Just, you know, come across random conversations that you overhear or you see a text message that looks a little bit like, hey, that's not really like, what do you mean here? Oh, no, it's just this. Okay. So, looking back now to kind of conclude this episode, I don't think, like, I think that no matter what it is, like, you know, I wouldn't even say depending on the action, depending on the betrayal, I think it's totally acceptable. Like, and you, again, send me an email if you guys think otherwise, or if you guys agree, blogishowpodcast@gmail.com. But I don't think that there is any, especially with certain things, but no matter what happens, if somebody does something to you that, you know, hurts you in a certain way or whatever, I don't think there's anything that anybody can say where they can put a time frame on it, on how many years or how long that you should have gotten over something by now. You should have let it go. So, on that note, guys, I apologize. This episode ran a little bit longer, but I hope everybody is having a great rest of your week, and I hope you guys join me next week. Well, again, so first of all, anybody that wants to support the show, go to blogishshow.com/support, or if you can't do any kind of, like, if you can't support financially, let your friends know, and on whatever platform you guys are watching, on whatever platform you guys are listening, please feel free, please do a 5-star rating, and, you know, let people know and stuff, so that way this podcast can continue to grow. But aside from that, feel free to join me again next week. And like I said, I already know the topic, so kind of following the same theme: mental health, affair, betrayal, stuff like that. You know, so I apologize. So, you know, if that's, you know. But that's kind of where you, because like I said, when I started this podcast, it's this segment, these real talk, it's basically me just keeping it real with you guys. So that's me. That's what I'm doing. Like, whatever topic I'm inspired to talk about, and usually it's nothing personal, but it's like lately, of course, it's personal. But so next week, the topic for next week, come join me when we talk about truckers and percentage of I don't even know if that's going to be the specific the way the topics can be worded, but it basically is going to be truckers and the high percentage of basically affairs or infidelity that happen when truckers are away providing for their family. So come back next week and join me for that one. This should be an interesting topic. But on that note, guys, I hope everybody hope you guys have a great rest of your week. You know what I always say, keep being positive, keep believing, keep pushing forward. Believe you can, believe you will. And you're already halfway there, and then you just have to go out there and do it. But on that note, guys, I wish everybody a great rest of your week. Come back and see me next week for the next Real Talk Tuesday. And of course, like, you know, who knows, maybe I'll get a Storytime Friday put up there, but I'm trying to keep these Real Talks at least consistent, keep these getting out there, because I don't want to have a week without episodes for you. Part of it for me, like I said, it's for doing the Friday episodes, getting the writing done. It's just been an issue for me with dealing with all the stuff I'm dealing with in my personal life that also is affecting me and my mental health. So it's been a struggle for me just to kind of keep pushing forward, if you know what I mean. So I'm trying to do what I preach to you guys as well. Push it forward, believe I can, believe I will, and I'm not a quitter, so I'm trying to not give up, especially when it comes to certain aspects of my life. But then when certain people are still involved a little bit too much, a little bit more than what I would like them to be in my life, it's been difficult for me to keep going by what I preach. So I'm trying though. So if you guys are religious out there, feel free to say some prayers for me, send me some good vibes, and some strength or whatever, because I need it. But anyway, on that note, you guys have a great rest of your week. See you next week. I'll talk to you later.